Hi, this is James Page for SAT TV. I'm here in the lobby of Satellite 2025 in Washington. Going to talk about universal connectivity with Gsoa, and their representative with me is Natalia Vicente. Natalia, it's lovely to talk to you. Before we get into the meat of the report, which is a fascinating read, perhaps you could tell us a little bit of background on Gsoa and what you do.
Definitely. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. Gsoa is the Satellite Association. We represent satellite operators from all the orbits, so GEO, MEO, and LEO, but we also represent launchers, manufacturers, and the ground segment, what gives us really a rich environment to have discussions, have a platform of sharing information, but also a unified voice from the relevant topics for the industry.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And this most recent report, which has come out from the organisation itself, is looking at the issue of universal connectivity and what the satellite sector can do. Because we may not realise it, but universal connectivity isn't here and is still a problem. What were sort of the drivers? What led you to decide there was a need for this report?
I think this topic has been current for a long time, but still, as you say, there's 2.6 billion people that are unconnected. What we realize is that while 96% of the population is covered by mobile coverage, this gives us 4% that is not covered, and that 4% is spread out in an 80% of the landmass. And that is a challenge. It is a challenge in many ways, and we decided to write this report together with our members because we thought we need to tackle how to solve this problem. And it's not just raising up the problematics or the problems that we find, but it's also how can we solve it.
And those problems that we're looking to solve, they are not just thinking about individuals and consumers and people. This is a problem for business and industry too.
Indeed. So we talk about the 4% of what the population, but what we don't realize always is the use that we do from technology and actually from connectivity. We talk about fisheries and agriculture, and all these services are precisely in those areas that are large in our countries that are not always connected, but can benefit enormously from connectivity to an efficient use of the resources, natural resources, but also to grow the economies in these countries. And so the potential is it's a huge potential for companies to make a sustainable business, but also a huge potential for countries.
And so thank you for explaining that. But your members and the report itself, what is it recommending? What are the next steps here? What can this industry that's gathered here in Washington at the moment do to solve that last part of the puzzle?
I think we are in a moment that is quite exciting for the satellite industry, but also for the ecosystem of telecommunications itself. We see that there's a lot more collaboration between terrestrial and non-terrestrial. We see a lot of the integration of the technologies to have seamless connectivity. And we are looking at different services with the IoT, with the D2D, and see how all these can really benefit the consumer or the citizen itself. What I see now here, and we have been seeing for the last couple of years, is that there's been a change in the approach to connectivity. We don't think anymore in silos. We are trying to see how everyone can put something at the table and what are the benefits from each technology. Clearly, in our case, satellite can bring coverage. Satellite can bring reliability, and satellite can bring resilience. And other technologies will bring other parts of that scheme. And that's why we think that there's no one solution for everyone. There is every technology pulling their strengths, and there is this engagement also with the public sector that we need. There needs to be a conversation with governments, with administrations, to better understand also the needs of each region that are not always the same.
Yeah, because that will be an important role for government and regulators to play. Even if the industry and public sector sort of come together, we still need the underpinnings of the regulatory environment that's going to let that happen.
Indeed, the solution is not just a technological solution. We need to also overcome certain barriers. The first one, we need to have policies that are inclusive. We talk about neutrality, that we don't put artificial requirements, but what we need to do also is to have an inclusivity of the technologies, bringing forward the relevance and the benefits of each of them. Because if you don't say it, it doesn't exist. And people forget about it. And it's normal, it's natural, but we need to put that forward. But we also need some other reforms. We have the Universal Service Fund that needs to have a certain reform in which we can really take advantage of the urban areas that are economically rich and use those for the correct technology or the most appropriate technology in the rural areas. So like that, we really find financial systems that are allowing everyone to benefit from the connectivity. And on the same way, we have to overcome also certain barriers on regulation and on financing models. And one of the models that we also think that is very appropriate is the public-private partnerships, especially for rural areas. It's interesting to have projects like we have Giga or we have Internet para Todos, in which governments have also a role to play. Giga is one of the examples that the ITU, UNICEF, and also private companies are working towards connecting schools. This seems quite basic for many of us, but this is allowing education to arrive to so many children, and also the communities around are developing through this connectivity that the schools are having. And this is just one example of many, and fostering that is one of the solutions.
Fantastic. Thank you for explaining that. It's a really important topic, and I'm really glad that Gsoa has been putting so much effort into this area. It's a report I think everybody involved in the sector should read, and I think it's available on your website, and we'd encourage anybody who hasn't to get into the detail. But you've given us a fantastic flavour of that. Thank you for explaining it. And Natalia, thank you for talking to SAT TV.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Okay.